I'm going to tie another very famous salmon fly. This one was invented, as far as I know, by the famous Mr. Black, and it's called Ghillie. So I have here a black sailor. This is a size 9, and I'm going to use red thread for this one. And I put on a little bit of super glue onto the thread. Some people have asked how I store the super glue for when I tie, and I use this, which is a dental amalgam pot, which is quite heavy, and so therefore it doesn't slide all over the place and make a mess of the joint. So we take a length of fine oval gold and tie it in here on top, and go back to the point where the hooks start to split, and then we take several turns backways, then through the hooks and up, and then we wrap that down going forwards, and then take it back between the legs of the hook on the underside and take our tying silk back to the rear point. Now on the tail on this one, I think the original used like an orange bucktail. For this one I'm going to use a hot orange Arctic Runner. I'm going to take off a bunch and just measure it up to be roughly 2 lengths of the hook, and then I'm going to snip off that. Tie it on at the front, and then holding the tail up, I'm going to tie backwards to there. Now, this one has a couple of strands of crystal here. I'm going to use an orange Mirage crystal here. I'm going to pull out a strand of that and double it over. I'm going to trim the 2 ends to get them aligned. Then I'm going to set that on top of the hook. And then I'm going to wind this forward to the front. And I'm not going to cut it off tight. What I'm going to do is going to cut it off and leave a length of it sticking out the front, because the wing of this fly also uses a couple of strands of that. So I'm going to use these cut off ends and fold them back when we get there. Now we've already got the gold tinsel here tied in underneath as our rib. The rear of this body is holographic gold. Now you can use holographic gold tinsel. What I'm going to use here is the holographic flat braid, because it's quicker to apply and I think also more durable. So I'm going to tie that in. I'm going to take a little bit of super glue and run it onto the top of the shank there, and wrap about 2/3 of the body with our gold flat braid. Tie that in. Usually I fold it back on itself, but to aid with a taper here, I'm going to wrap over it as it goes forwards, because the front portion of this is a black floss, and you need to have a nice smooth base to lay floss on, otherwise it'll just transmit through all of the lumps from below. So we're going to use a black rayon floss. I like to wrap on floss like this. I go to the front of the section I take my length of floss and I catch it across, put it behind my silk, and I double it over, and then I slide that in until it's on the shank, and I put a couple of turns over it. You can wrap singly if you want, but I find that wrapping doubly speeds it up, and if you do this sort of wiggling motion and keep on twisting your floss as you go, it should lay on nice and flat for you, give you a smooth body. I'll tie that off and trim it underneath. So now we take our gold rib that's between the legs of the hook, and we take that forward, hopefully in even turns. Your third turn should just be hitting the black floss. 4 turns, 5 turns, and tie that off. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put on a throat. Now, you can use fur if you want. I'm just going to use a hot orange soft hackle cape that I have, because it's a very hot orange and that's what I'm after. What I'll do is I'll take a feather and then I'm going to nip out the tip of it, and then I'm going to separate back a portion of the feather. I'll turn over my hook, so hopefully you can see, and I'm going to set that on underneath and put a couple of wraps on across the stalk part of it, and then I pull this forward until I get a throat the length that I want, and I'm then tying on the fibres part. They've been pulled far enough forward, so a couple of turns on that to secure it. Pull it back tight up and get your scissors nice and tight in. Trim that off. The other portion of this throat is blue guinea fowl, and I'm going to do the same thing there. I'm going to nip out the centre of a feather, separate back, and then I'm going to tie that in on the stalk part, and the same again, pull it forward, and this way you should get a nice compact and neat throat. Same thing, pull that back, clip it in nice and neat. Now, you don't throw these away, because you're going to tie a couple of flies. What you do is you'll be left with this little cut off end here. Just snap that off and you'll have another portion of the feather ready for the throat on the next one. Now, for the wing on this one, I'm going to use this, which is it's a squirrel dyed yellow, or in this case it might even be a sunburst yellow, and I nip out a bunch of that. I'll just trim out any feathers that are sort of, or hackles, sorry, fibres that are all over the place. Now, wing length here is up to yourself. Some people like them very short. I'm probably going to go about 1.5 times the body length here. Then I'm going to transfer hands and trim that off, and then I'm going to use my dubbing needle here, and I'm going to go to my little super glue pot and add a little dab of super glue to the very tip of that, and then bang that on while it's still wet. Now, earlier we left these on, so we're now going to pull those backwards, and those will then lay on top of the wing, and then here, I suppose if you want you could leave them long, but I'm just going to go in and trim them at the length of the back of the wing. All this fly needs now is jungle cock to finish it, so I'm going to take out a couple of feathers here, one from the left, one from the right. I'm going to strip off the flue off the feather, and I'm going to match this one over here, the same. And then I'm going to lay up that on the side, tie it on, and then I'm going to set up the one for the other side, roughly measure it for length, and then hold it in place with my finger. Take a turn across it. And there's a variety of ways. What you can do is you can cut them off with scissors, or you can take this, fold it back and wrap across itself for added security. Trim that one. Trim this one. And there's an added little fibre sticking out there. I'll get rid of it. Now that's essentially fly done, so it just remains to do a head on it. Now I'm just going to use this, which is the uni red thread itself for it, which will give me a nice dark red thread head. But you could finish off at this stage and then put Glow Bright or some other sort of floss on and do a much brighter head. I've added some super glue there to the thread, and I'm just using that to create a nice shaped head, and then I will whip finish it. And now taking my dubbing needle, I'm going to varnish the head first with the Loctite super glue. I've used cheaper super glues, but they don't seem to produce as glossy a finish as Loctite, so I'm just dipping into my little amalgam well here and creating a nice smooth head. And then when that dries itself off, I will add a coat of Sally Hansen's, and that'll finish the ghillie fly.